So probably 5 or 6 years ago, I got a telephone call, and it was from what I thought was AT&T, asking about a bunch of stuff about our program that we were on, which I didn't realize at the time was just our cell phone, which is probably good because they didn't get any deeper than that. But they wanted me to reset my password, and so they sent me a code, and I logged into my account. And with that logging, they were able to get into my account, and um, we found out like a couple months later, I guess it was, when Harrison got the bill.
No, it was pretty quickly.
Was it?
Yeah, we talked to him pretty
Oh,
quickly.
did okay.
Or, well, it's hard to remember. I just remember finding out someone had purchased a phone on our account and
Luckily, the AT&T was able to pause it. We
yeah,
didn't get charged for it.
reject it. But yeah, it was so easy. He thought that they were just calling to um, re-log in. I forget why.
Well, and when you're on a phone like that, you don't see URLs or anything like that that you can maybe tell a difference. So it can be very scamming. And then, of course, now that was by the phone. I had another incident well, it's about 3 years ago now, I guess, where I found out on a much later basis that I was being scammed. I had a car dealer call me, and he was just wanting to investigate. He had somebody that was trying to buy a car. It was a Toyota dealer, and something about the way the guy handled the form that they filled out sent a little bit of a question in his mind. And so he did a search for me on the web. And of course, I have websites up there and stuff where he could see a difference in me, and that it wasn't just one site. He saw a couple different sites with my picture on it and said, "This doesn't sound right."
Well, it didn't match the picture on the
Yeah.
license. He,
Yeah, they
this,
they did a full they took my social security, they had my driver's license, they actually took my driver's license, took a picture off and put a different picture on there. And I think there was one other thing that they filled out of it. And so they had it looking very official, but luckily we had somebody that caught it. And so he calls me up one day and he said, "Sir, I'm so and so. He's the financial director at the Toyota dealer." And he said, "I just wanted to check to see um, if do you know that your uh, identity's been stolen?"
well, no, he wanted to confirm that that you were the person trying to buy the car.
Well, no, he knew I didn't because he saw the person's
Oh,
picture on the card, and he knew what he saw up there wasn't the same, and he wanted to verify who I was and to make sure that that I had that I probably had been scammed. And then led me through quite a process, which, is good now that I think about it because I immediately had to freeze all my accounts, my what do you call it? My
credit cards.
yeah,
Well, we
well,
had to
it's
also freeze the
your credit score
credit score accounts.
through there's three different accounts that you have to go to, and you freeze each one. Two of them can be done online, and one has to be done in person or by letter. And I did that. I also joined a identification ID company that verifies things going on, and that's through my bank. But it was really scary because that was not the only one. He actually did it at three different car dealerships, and all three of them, luckily, turned it down.
So
Um,
we don't know if this was a person or a group of people
no,
operating this, but yet you have no idea
yeah,
how they even got the information. I mean, the first time it was a phone call and you, mistook a um, something as real when it wasn't, but it can also, our identity can be taken without even realizing it. So hello,
this is Don.
and this is Gina with Focused Healthy Family.
And I'm just now getting to I think it's 165 is our podcast for today. I'm
Okay.
going to double check while you while you lead on.
And so we're investigating grandma scams and looking at as it is seen in pop culture now, as it's become much more aware that these things are going on, that things are happening, that people are targeting senior citizens, um, ways to steal money.
from a lot of and yeah so hopefully I put out is to get some investigators or people that talk about it so that we can talk even more about it because it's a lot more. There's so many different kinds of scams to talk
Sure.
about.
So yeah, if you know someone who kind of deals with this in their line of work more specifically, we'd love to have them on and talk about it further. We're going to talk about it from our own experience today, from stories we've heard from people, and
Thelma.
from movies and TV shows and other places where these scams have been depicted. And it's good that they're doing that. They're making people aware
Oh
that
yeah,
these things exist.
they talk about this Thelma, which we just recently saw a couple months ago, I guess it was, and how it was at the one of the festivals. I can't think of the which festival, a Sundance festival,
Is a
and
movie called Thelma, not to be confused with Thelma and Louise.
yeah, yeah, we don't. But yeah, and this lady had a situation where she got a phone call out of the blue, and it sounded like her grandson, Danny, um, and he had been in a fight and done some things that he needed $10,000 to get out of what he was in. He was in jail, I think, at the time, and all of that, and it got her so panicked that she automatically got the money together, had to call around to get different things together, and was able to send this money to this whoever it was that was calling her. And of course, within a very short period of time, she goes to her grandson's apartment and finds him sleeping at home, no problem, no broken nose or any of the
Been
different
arrested
stuff.
is what they portray in the film. Yes, um, to discover, her grandson quickly realized she had been scammed.
And of course now we'll talk about this, but it's like when you're that age, sometimes it's hard for you to figure out the technology factors, and a lot of what we say we're throwing out of it was different technologies she had to take get this to work. And so she talked a little bit about that, is how difficult it was for her to understand technology, but then she turns it around, and the fun part about it, and this is a movie, of course, it
It's
isn't quite
based
the
on a
same.
story, but they took it a whole nother level.
Yeah, she decided to, on her own, to figure out where this, because she had to mail it to a P.O. box, and she found out that the P.O. box, I think through her grandson helped her to find where this P.O. box was at, and then she was able to, the only transportation she could get was a friend of hers, an older friend of hers, lived in a nursing center, but he had what would you call it,
He
like a
lived in like an
scooter?
assisted living. He had an electric scooter, an older friend. She was a friend her age. He
Yeah.
had a scooter, and she winds up kind of stealing it from him to go chase down this person. Um,
Well, he ends up going with her though, and and they end up. First off, she goes to the wrong street address. It was supposed to be like I can't remember what the word it was either uh, north, whatever, west, but it
Spoiler
really was supposed to
alert,
be
if you
south.
want to watch
Oh,
this,
that's true. That's true.
zip ahead. But so she goes through the trouble of finding out who it was. And in this instant, it was a small, you
Yeah,
know, two individuals operating this. But I think a lot of times
I think it's probably a lot larger,
it
and it
can be
could be out of
bigger or
town or
just,
all
yeah,
kinds of.
in a different country or just more distance to be able to locate this. But just the fact that, and she wanted her money back. She um, did not want, this person who stole her money. Um,
And of course, she came out as the hero, and she was able to kind of save the day and even get these because she brought a gun with her, or something,
oh yeah,
and
she
held.
knew someone in the facility who lived with her friend who had a gun, and she went through all these things
Yeah.
to make follow through with her plan, just to have that for protection, just in case. And it's quite comical. It's an amusing story. You can learn about the real Thelma story behind the inspiration for the story. And
Well, in the original lady that she got the same account as somebody calling and but then her daughter was able to stop her from making the payment. So that second part of taking the scooter and all that, that was just added for the movie, but it still brings up a fact that this is being a lot of people getting. I mean, I saw the fact that over $2.7 billion is taken through scams
every year,
every year. Yes. And so it's affecting a lot of people. And when you're getting an aging parent who may not have all their um, uh, well, they talk about not being flexible to be able to understand technology, understand all of this.
I think in the movie Thelma, he said his nose had been broken. That's why he sounded funny. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
that's what he used to kind of dismiss that. But there is technology out there now to be able to steal your voice. And I know our kids have told us, if you get a phone call, and it's, automated, you don't know who it is, don't say yes, don't say no, because that
yeah.
can be used. They can record your voice and use it for other things. So in a TV series, Leverage, and the most recent is Leverage Redemption Season 3. Leverage is a story of a grifter, a hacker, an investigator, all these people who come together as modern day vigilantes to steal back money and items from people who have taken things, to give it back to people who deserve it, or who, um, the victims of different situations. So in this very recent episode, um, it's called The Hustler, I believe, The Hustle Job. Um, One of the individuals, Harry, he's a lawyer who joins the team in the redemption version. It's played by Noah Wiley, and his grandmother gets conned. They actually,
Actually, it was his mother.
oh, his mother,
His mother,
his
yeah.
mother, yeah, he's my age. Um,
I was gonna say,
his mother gets conned. Um, I'm trying to remember. They
how did they do it? I'm trying to.
Yeah, they called and said, "Oh, I can't think of what it is. I'm looking at the plot right now." But
Yeah,
anyways, they
but
use animation, they use AI to impersonate a voice, and so that they can
oh, it was about living forever. Remember, it was that this whole plot that you could be. I think that was
that
was
was a different
that was a
episode.
different episode.
That was a different episode.
Well, that's another scam, but that's
That was a whole nother episode. So no, this was about they took money and this show, it was tied to the Russian mob, and so it had kind of an interesting twist behind it, and so they were getting to the bottom of it, but she had been scammed out of money, and they didn't, they took I think it was it was the granddaughter. It was Noah's daughter. They took her voice and her image, and it was actually a video clip because she had shared to social
mm,
media. That's what it was, and they had taken stuff from her social media clips, and so it was actually a video of the granddaughter saying, she needed help and she was in trouble, and she needed money, and the grandmother quickly responded, sending some
yeah,
money, not realizing. So here she's looking at a picture of her actual granddaughter. She's hearing her granddaughter's voice. And so she's wanting to help her. So there is technology out there
with
that will literally,
yeah all the AI stuff going on right now. You have well, they can go to a TikTok video and be able to pull it off of there and piece it together, especially if they've done a bunch of these different things and then piece it all together to make it sound
yeah, in the show
like
they talk about how it only takes a couple seconds of a clip to be able to AI generate the voice or to recreate it and to be able to use this technology, unfortunately, not for good. I
Yeah,
think about the people and the intelligence that they have to be able to um, produce these scams and follow through with this stuff. What else could they be doing at that time? But the important thing is talking to our loved ones. And Don was what, 60 when the first one happened? I mean,
probably somewhere around there. Yeah.
and, having movies and TV shows and stories to talk about it. One way to bring it up with the loved one is, this happened to my friend. Make it relatable, not that it's just, oh, because you're my mother and you're getting old and they could
Well,
get
yeah, they,
defensive. But, sharing these things that these things can happen. They can even happen to younger people and just saying, okay, what precautions can we take? What things do we need to be on the lookout for? I know when I get text messages, I'll send it to my kids in their 20s, even a teenager. Is this real or not? And most of the time it's not. And I've gotten to learn to pay attention to website addresses and text messages. And a lot of companies will now say, we're not going to send you a text asking for information, whether it's,
mhm.
a utility company.
Well, you think about when you're doing email. I now will look if I get something like that. If I have any question at all, for most time I don't have a lot of questions. There's no prince in Saudi Arabia that's asking me for something, but I will look at the send information, and if it doesn't have one, if it doesn't have the name of whatever company is trying to approach me, that sends the problem. But like I say, the other thing is to stop and if it's somebody collecting something, call the company, get off the email and call the company and to see if that is correct. So I've had a couple of situations where there was a late fee or something like that that was actually real, but I had to find it out. But I actually called the company to find it out, and I didn't base it on the email.
I keep getting the text message from North Carolina. I don't know if it's the Department of Transportation. That we have an e-pass system. We
Yeah,
have some highways with a toll on it, and about how I have to pay my. And I have been on this highway where I've had to pay a toll, but they send a bill in the mail. And so
yeah.
when I these text messages, it seems legitimate, and I'm like, oh, did I travel through there recently? And we need to pay attention. Years ago, it was getting a virus on your computer. Don't click on that attachment on an email. It's going to download a virus on your computer, right? Well, things have gotten so much more sophisticated now. Yes, you can avoid clicking attachments and emails unless you know exactly who it's coming from, and making sure it really is coming from that person. But, paying attention to these other things. If you hear about someone who's speaking on this topic, you can even look it up in your area. These with a friend, a parent, grandparent, whoever it is, you have concerns for, and even people you think are pretty savvy, just sharing it, getting that information out there. I know message will go around about the latest thing that's happening or a different thing that's going on. For a while, it was the whole you got to buy gift cards of this amount to help get someone out of jail, and I guess so the money
Yeah.
couldn't be traced. Yeah, I never understood that one.
Well, those ones about the prince over there or somebody who's in jail that some royalty somewhere that wants you to send money. That one I
Well, or
never.
celebrities
Or yeah, that
that,
just
that there's people have used celebrities that,
yeah.
yeah, and your favorite actor is in jail and he wants your help, and we want to help people. A lot of us have that desire and drive to help someone in need, even if we can't really financially afford to. We're still going to jump to help people, and
We
we
just
also
have to
need.
find our way to get to that with if there really is a need, is first not jumping on it first thing. I think one of the things, and this is where they talk about how you talk to your aging loved one about this is one, you don't shame them or scam them. You
Scam them.
like you mentioned, what's that?
You said shame or scam them.
Well, yeah, that's true. A little Freudian there. Um, but it's talking to them, well, using, like you said, the example of a friend who's been robbed of this. And they talk about trying to set it up early in like in our 50s and 60s, you and I probably need to talk a little bit about it too somehow.
We're talking right now.
But yeah, but getting a plan, an advance, talking about, well, and then looking at things like making sure you freeze your secure
Well,
your
and when that happened to you with the buying the car, we went and changed all our usernames and passwords on all
yeah
our accounts. It was quite an ordeal. All our different bank
yeah
accounts, the credit card accounts, just all kinds of accounts. And we had to go through and change it all. And it was a lot to go through. And this can be frustrating to be able to recall these accounts and information. If you recall, Don, after you were in the hospital this past fall and you had a stroke, and you use an outsourced password saver with your laptop,
Mhm.
and you couldn't remember the password to get into it where it stores all the password.
yeah
I use the Apple password protector where all it needs is my fingerprint, um, my um, my passcode or my face on my phone to access my password section where I can see my passwords to all different things, where it's stored more securely than where I used to keep it on my notes on my phone. Not a good place. People can easily access it, but that's why phones now have security features. You know, you have to put a code in, or you has to have your Face ID or your fingerprint ID to be able to log
my
in.
fingerprints don't my skin's too dry. It won't register well. I wish it would because I could use it on this. But yeah, you're right. We have we have to think about this more in advance with as
And just
things are
and
changing.
being educated and keeping up to date. You know, if someone's doing a talk on this, if you've watched a video on it, and thinking about your loved one, and just we can easily you get busy and you get so much going on and mom, and don't do this and don't, make sure you don't do this. Hey, this happened to someone, just want you to be aware, whether you're sending them an email with the information, however they best receive information, and watching this movie can be a fun way.
Mm.
It's lighthearted. It's
Yeah,
it's got some great acting in it, and it's kind of got a whole adventure twist in it, and yet, the idea is how easily these things can happen, and it can be so subtle, not as obvious as your grandchild calling you saying, they're in jail and they need help.
yeah.
It can be much more subtle than that. And
I don't know if you remember, we this is quite a few years ago. We saw of a film where they were being scammed in their retirement, or somebody was um, taking them to court and putting them into like a nursing home
oh
and
yeah,
then selling all their.
uh,
Trying to
someone.
remember who
I
was the
think that
actress.
I think that story was the daughter had hired a. Is that the one where she had hired someone to act as the not like a power of attorney, but her agent, because she lived at a distance from her mom, and that person took advantage. This could be a whole different story.
I'm trying to
Yeah,
remember, but
there's a
yeah, it
story
was.
like that where the
But
person
they
took
had been,
advantage,
they've
and
been doing it multiple times. It was this was, but yeah.
there's so many different stories out there. We should pull a list together and
Well,
share.
that's what I say. If we could find a couple people that would help us talk more about because I think it's something we have to, even more and more every day. We got to think about it because it's just getting the way the world's going right now that it's getting into a lot of the scams and
Well, and
stuff.
there's so many different ways for it to happen, and it can still happen with physical paper. I mean, a friend of mine, her mother was making payments to an assisted living facility, at the same time as another one for herself, one for her spouse, and somehow like $7,000 got taken out of an account, and that money was supposed to go paying for these checks. And some of these smaller businesses, you write, they take your check to be able to do automatic withdrawal deposits, and making sure that's done in a secure way,
Yeah.
because all it takes is, the wrong person getting a hold of it and copying it to access the money. um, it can happen. For years, the big thing was on when you went filled up for gas, they would put
Put that little scammer thing on
scammer
that.
thing where the credit card reader is,
Yeah.
and it would take off your number.
Well, I had one taken from and I don't think it had a scammer thing on it, but I had same thing with another
I
one of
don't
my
think you
cards.
can really tell. I don't know how, I never understood
Yeah, I
how
don't
you told
know.
if that was on there, but people talked about how it's safer to go inside
Yeah.
to the store, although some people, they don't trust people looking at their card, but
Well,
um
and you think about it too, what each time stuff like that happens, I have to change a credit card. And I've had to do it now, gosh, probably about 5 different times. And then each time you do, you got to go back to each one of the credit cards and you got to wait for it to get to you. So it's a scam for everybody really, but
Well, and some of our banks are really great about issuing a new card. We were concerned about an activity on your account, and they would go
yeah,
ahead and close out the other account and issue us a new card and new numbers. So there's protections you can put in place. If you can think of the company that you utilize to help you, we can put that on the description of information.
you mean the ID card?
Yeah, we can put it in the description in this podcast so that you
Okay.
can view that. Um, there's another thought I had. And so noticing these different things, paying
Hmm.
attention to different things that can be
Might
happening.
try to put like the Experian, there's 3 different
The credit
credit
bureaus.
bureaus that you can go to, and might want to check it out now. And it doesn't hurt to freeze because you very rarely, you buy a car, buy a house is when you use
And
them,
then you
and
call them and
and
unfreeze
you
it.
call and you can have it unfreeze for an hour. You can have it, and you tell the person to go now, and as soon as it automatically closes back up after an hour. So it's very easy to be able to work with.
Because if someone's wanting to, purchase something where they have to do a credit check, so a large sum of money where a credit check needs to
Yeah,
happen, that's where that's going to stop that. Now, there's
yeah.
other instances where they don't need to do a credit check to take your money. Um,
But
and
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking, the I don't like my credit card sometimes because I have to change it. But in truth, though, they have stopped it for a lot of things and they would have been some of them would have been kind of devastating. And so I have to kind of say thank you for some of the credit cards that do that. Uh, and a lot of times they'll just ask me, is that a fair one or not? And if I say not, then I get a new credit card. If I just recently I had one, but
Go ahead. I just remembered something I wanted to say and I keep forgetting it.
well, go ahead and say
You
it.
can set up alerts so that if more than a certain amount of money is taken from an account, it alerts you. That's a way to minimize just credit card fraud in general.
Yeah, yeah. No, but they just recently did it, and unfortunately, I didn't recognize the company at first, and so I end up having another card, but I end up recognize who it was. It was a company I worked with
Oh,
before.
you didn't recognize the company that was
They were trying
taking
that
the funds. They
because
were
there's
with,
like almost $300, and
and you're like, who is this taking this money? I'm
yeah,
going to
but
stop this. And then it was a legitimate
because
business.
in doing it too, you can tell them, no, that's legitimate, but I don't want it.
Yeah, because
So
signing up for things and then we don't want them anymore, and that fee renews. I mean, there's companies out there now who focus on helping you to cancel subscriptions and things like that. But yeah, those renewal fees, something you thought you had canceled, and here comes the charge for it again.
well, if you tell them no, you don't, that it's not a scam, but you don't want it, you don't lose your credit card that way. That which is good about it. But anyway,
As far as having to reset the
yeah,
card
which
and,
is
and,
tough.
and get a whole new number. So things to think about, things to think about for all of us. This is something educating your children on, right?
Hmm.
We're raised in this culture where, AI and the technology, it take our information and people can get a hold of it to use it for, I mean, taking our money, taking our identity, um, different things that can cause a real problem for people. It took a long time, like with the whole
Oh God,
trying
yeah.
to purchase the car deal of,
Oh, that took me
discovering you
like
had to
probably a
call all
year
different
of
kinds of
all
people and
kinds of
to
stuff
get
to do.
everything straightened out and just the headache of it. They didn't get anything from us. They didn't get,
Well, and I wonder, that the thing I still kind of wonder about is they still have my social security number.
oh,
You know, now I haven't seen anything come up, and my identity company said nothing has come up, but I just wonder if they're gonna wait a while and come back,
yeah,
you
we don't
never
know.
know.
That's
So
true. Yeah, if they have that, because that's not something you're going to go change.
yeah,
And I know Medicare used to use the Social Security number as their identity number, but now they don't
yeah.
because they have to update and change it because of things that happen, that they're all being issued a new number because of breaches and things that happen. So do something fun. Watch a lighthearted movie like Thelma. We'll share links, right, Don?
Mhm.
Other TV shows and movies that address this topic. It's a great way to bring this and have a conversation. Have it with your kids. If you've got teenagers or even kids a little younger than that, they might be aware of these things. You
Mhm.
might be learning these things firsthand and bringing them up in this culture of paying attention and tuning into these different things that can happen and understanding. Sometimes it's hard to tell what's real and what's not. And
Well, you can go have some fun by going to the beach like Gina's doing.
yeah, I'm at the beach and I really need more money so I could stay one more night. So, to all our viewers out there, if you could just send me some money
Let me
to
send you the P.O. box.
555 555 5555 so that I can have more rest and rejuvenation. Because if you've been watching my podcast, even for a few episodes, you know some struggles and challenges that we've had in our life. And surely Gina deserves a little bit more time at the beach.
If I could only have a background like you. Uh, anyway,
So that's our
there
podcast for today.
goes.
Thank you for joining us here at Focused Healthy
We didn't
Family.
wrap this up very well.
Tune in every Thursday where we air our latest episode. We've interviewed a large number of different people. We discuss topics relating to caring for aging loved ones, caring for ourselves while raising children, and navigating this journey of life. You can find us on Facebook, focusedhealthyfamily.com. You can find us on Instagram at focusedhealthyfamily1. You can see us on YouTube. You can see me at the beach, as we talked about, and send that money to 555
Uh,
and you can hear us live wherever you listen to a podcast. Share this with other people you know, like it, subscribe, get the message out to other people. Please look back in previous episodes. We have had a number of interviews lately talking to just a whole variety of people with different situations. Scan back to the first year of our podcast where we delved more into parenting children and foster parenting and a lot of different topics with people we've interviewed and covered. So check those out, share the links with people you know who could use this information, and talk about these topics in support groups and meetings when you get together with loved ones.
and maybe they should send the money to me so I can join you at the beach.
Sure, or he can go to his own beach. Yeah. Yes, Don, come to the beach with me. So thank you for joining us. And remember, how you speak to your children and your loved ones today shapes their future and yours.